Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Fabrizio Aiello, the creator, writer, artist, colorist, and fashion consultant for Horace H. Hoover. It was you who picked out the vacuum cleaner for him to wear.
Yeah. Schiller and Schlepper, Fabrizio Aiello.
So how you doing? First off, Yang, how you doing, Yang? Is this stream formatted for phone? Yeah, StreamYard updated, and it doesn't give me a choice, and I don't know how to turn this off. So let me know if this is annoying or not. Let me know if this is driving anybody crazy. So I, I was just telling Fabrizio before we got here. It's raining in New York, so of course it took me 3.5 hours to drive home from work today. So I am furious. So Fabrizio, your job is to put me in a good mood.
Yeah. I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah. How you doing, Dr. Mask? We got to settle on a date for us to talk, Dr. Mask. Horace H. Hoover meets the Patriarch. Have you read issue number 2? Have you read issue number 2 of Heroic Tales? Weird on the YouTube video. It's coming out vertical. Seems fine on X. Yeah, I think it's, I don't know.
Yeah, I think, not to get into the weeds on this, but whenever you set it up to multiple streams, each available stream, you have to set the formatting so it might be defaulting to the phone or something.
Guy, you StreamYard. I'm paying extra money for this. Make it easy. Make it easy. Keep it simple, stupid.
Almost so anyway, free would be nice, but easy is better.
Yeah, easy and free. Just like a couple of girls I dated in college. So you got your campaign going. I'll put your campaign link in the private chat so I can bring it up.
Yes, I will. Yeah, so I launched Horace H. Hoover on Saturday.
Yes, I joined your launch stream. This is a comic book that I absolutely been championing since issue number 1 back with your old publisher. I fell in love with this comic instantly. It's everything that I want. It you have a what you call it, like a limited color palette. So I appreciate like the a lot of modern colors. I think they have infinite choices, so they make it a little too complicated. Like I really love your color palette. I love your character design, the setting, the characters. Everything about this comic book is just everything that I want.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I wasn't sure what direction I was going to go. Honestly, I mean, I love the Bronze Age again, so that's my ideal time. But I kept wondering, what's good for the story? Honestly, is it better to have a more modern looking coloring? I was thinking about doing like the whole desaturated palette, like a watercolor. So I played around with a lot of different things, and honestly, the limited color palette, Bronze Age inking, it just fit the character and everything. So after I nailed that down, the rest kind of came out of that.
So before we get too quick, because I know you and we could get off on tangents and everything.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of people already watching. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, and for those of you who are confused, yes, this is my normal time that I stream. I'm just on a different work schedule. I'm working 3 to 11 weekdays and Sundays for now on, so 6 days a week. And then, but this being Thanksgiving week, it's regular schedule. And since that was the case, I didn't buy it. Normally, if I go in at regular time, I buy a train ticket to avoid driving. If anybody's familiar with Long Island driving, it's not good. But I didn't buy a train ticket for a week, and I should, because it was a 3.5-hour commute today. It's just. I was like cursing at people. Like I would pull up to people, look at them, and be like, "You're an effing asshole!" Like to people next to me. You know what I mean? Like if I had rocket launchers on my car, they would. I would have been a supervillain. This is my origin.
3 hours, that's not a commute. Isn't that like a journey or a trek at that point?
It would be a journey if I was moving. It was like bumper to bumper traffic for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Although I admit I have a commute as well, and there's a bridge that I just stay on at times for like a half hour, just a bridge, just sitting there. And depending on how much of a good mood I am, I'll just roll down the windows and play the most obnoxious music I can possibly think of.
Yeah, I just like it's funny because if I roll down, I've been on we talked about this, but I've been on YouTube. There's a channel called Esoterica.
Yep.
And it's this like rabbi who's just he has a lisp, and he has this like monotonous drone voice, and he's just talking about like medieval manuscripts on alchemy and everything like that. So I just would think it would be funny, like me just being furious and my windows are rolled down, and then just listening to this guy talk about like, the Malefictorum or something like that. It's like, honey, I think we should just drive on the median and get away from this guy.
Yeah, I love Mr. Bungle. Do you know Mr. Bungle?
Yeah, don't be the band or the actual movie that it was taken.
The band. Which is some crazy music, but it is one of those things where like, yeah, I want to get away from this guy. I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yep. I haven't heard Mr. Bungle in a long. They only have one album, right?
No, they have a couple.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
That was the guy from the second singer from Faith No More, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I love Mr. Bungle. Anyway.
Oh, that's like a blast from the past. I haven't thought of that in a long time. My partner at work is this is like a rarity. I actually have a partner that's older than me, and for this week anyway, because the holiday, and he's an old punker, and I thought I saw a lot of bands. He was like, nice, and it's funny because he's like an old grandpa. He's like, I saw the band I was doing LSD with, and I was hanging out with them. And, and he saw every freaking band. He's like, okay, those guys are pretty cool. I smoked a joint with them in the back room, and you see. And he's like, I gotta go see my grandkids this weekend. It's like,
man,
fuckers are old now. Oh, geez.
Yeah, exactly.
And Mr. Bungle's going way back, but that's the band he brought up today. Was Gang of Four. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I don't know.
I was like, yeah. That song was the inspiration for Bikini Girl, one of my characters.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, we started talking about your comic, and then we got. You see, I knew you and I were getting the weeds
for sure.
So, where's the link? Let me click on the link and bring up your comic. Okay.
Yeah, so this is issue 4. It's a limited miniseries, and the first 3 issues have been published and printed, and they've been out there for several years now. Basically, the whole premise of the series, it's 1920s, 30s, and Horace H. Hoover, who wears something that looks suspiciously like a vacuum cleaner on his head, essentially is like an occult detective. So he will investigate mysteries and supernatural oddities. He gets taken to sort of pocket universes where there's some crazy stuff. And this is sort of the 4th issue, which kind of ends sort of a bigger arc if people have read the first 3 issues. So this is sort of a big deal because the first 3 issues kind of lead up to this. So this is the denouement. So it's a little longer. It's 38 pages, but I felt like I had to give it some time. Sometimes if you end things too quickly, it goes by too quickly and it doesn't feel like it, you sit with it. So
this is your second to last issue of the series.
Yeah.
And you said you're going to do other stuff. You're going to, I remember you said you wanted to do a painting or something.
Yeah, I want to do some oil painting, some bookbinding. I mean, I'm never going to stop doing comics. I don't think that's possible, but I definitely want to, take a few months off, do something else, kind of come back to it. I actually like to use that time to study. So I'll do like anatomy and portraiture and a bunch of things. That way, when I come back to the book,
comic book artists don't need anatomy. Have you read comics in the 90s?
Just lines, just random lines.
Just hide body parts behind like desks. That would be funny. Just like Horace H. Hoover's like running through the desert, and then there's just a desk to hide his knees because you can't draw knees or something like that.
Oh, he's jumping out of an aircraft, Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's a big thing with Horace H. Hoover because he's kind of like a Sherlock Holmes character to some degree. So I can't really lean on a lot of the action stuff that is easier. There's dialogue and a lot of just talking.
It's funny because last issue he got into a fist fight. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh yeah,
yeah,
an old fashioned fisticuffs.
Yeah. So. I do like action. It's a different kind of action. It's an action that you might see Sherlock Holmes and not the movie Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes engage in, But we also see one thing. We jump right into the story, so we don't have his background, we don't have his powers. We just see Horace H. Hoover start investigating, and I'm slowly rolling out like aspects of his personality, a little bit of his background, people that he knows through each issue. And we learn a little more in this one. So, I like the idea of continuing the bigger arc, the case on hand, but also rolling out a little more about Horace.
I love this cover. This like seems like almost like an EC cover. Like
Yeah.
like EC horror cover or something.
Yeah, thank you. Man, covers they are such an art, and I look at Gil Kane or all the greats, and the covers are so different than the interior pages. It's like a totally different skill, and it's like I have 130 pages of practice of interiors, but I only have 4, practices of covers. So it's like you really got to hone in on what makes a cover good.
Yeah, and I love that you have words on your cover. I'm not doing it. Renzo's drawing a cover for Bill Williams. He has a comic called Punchline, and he let me write a 12-page story with my characters interacting with his characters. And he has a couple of different writers doing that, so his characters will be interacting with 4 or 5 different creators world, and then each one of those guys has their own variant cover. So the variant cover Renzo did to me, I was like, let's go old school like Justice League. So on the side, it's going to have like the heads with their names underneath, and then all of them. And then they're going to be like, how can we defeat this? Like, I want to put word balloons on it and everything like that. Like,
I love that.
Yeah. That's what Renzo is all. It's like, oh, Justice League. Oh, I love that. So, yeah, that's what this reminds me of, like the word balloons and everything.
Yeah. And I definitely wanted to make sure that this felt like, this was the end. Slurp is in peril in the back. Max is kind of knocked out. Horace is down. So I wanted, I want to add some drama right on the cover, like we used to get as kids on the newsstand.
And is this like indicative of what actually happens? It seems like lately covers have been portfolio pieces.
Yeah, Slurp's not in this issue. No, I'm just kidding.
No, this issue is just them at the beach. There is,
yeah,
that's what I'll do. The next issue of Heroic Tales, it'll just be everybody chilling at the beach on the cover. Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves is like, I like when the cover gives you a glimpse of what's actually going to happen, and with Marvel and DC, like they'll have like a Spider-Man comic book, and then like on the cover will be Thor, just because it's. We got 52 variants. Who cares? People aren't reading this stuff anyway.
Yeah, like you expect whenever you see the cover, you're like, okay, I'm going to get to this part. And it's almost like it's like during, when you watch a movie and they always like flash the end scene right at the beginning. And then it's like 2 weeks earlier and You're just waiting for that. And to me, I feel like that's what a cover should be most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be literally what happened, but it has to be to be indicative of what happened.
Yep.
A clue. But I love this cover. I love the colors. I gotta say, like, you use a lot of orange, and I do. I kind of like that. Yeah, and from your comic, when I was asking Oscar to color Mary Sue, which is out now in Rogue Tales #2, I said lean more towards orange and gold. If you're wondering about what to fill it. And I think it looks so good. It seems like everybody's using like a lot of purples and blues, but like I wanted more golds and yellows and oranges, and that's all from the way your comic looks.
And the funny thing is that was out of necessity because I'm like, Horace is red and blue. So orange immediately pops him from the background. So it's the go-to color for Horace. But, once I got an issue or 2 down, I'm like, it would be awkward to completely change the palette. So I kind of roughly stayed in that same color palette. A little different with like the logo type and the treatment. But yeah, I mean, most of the time with the limited color palette, if you have a green character, you're like, the first thing is like, all right, I got to put a red background to pop them from the background.
And it looks like sundown, you know what I mean? So it works as a background.
Yeah, the golden hour is my favorite, the favorite time of day. It's the coolest.
Yep. let's see what else is on this. So this is, you know, I've been looking forward to this. So I just backed this. This is like literally the first time I'm looking at the campaign page. You know, like there's a couple of people. It's just like I want the book. I trust the guys. I don't need and I don't want to be spoiled. So you know what I mean. So like on Saturday when you launch, I just backed your book. I just went to the backing thing back. You know, so I'm like, this is the first time I'm seeing the cover. You know, you, Brian Bowes, Wolf and Batsy, you know, anything by Josh Howard. I don't need to see the campaign page. Just tell me what it, just, you know, take my money.
Yeah, we talked about this before. Like, I hate trailers for movies.
Yeah. Oh my
You know,
God.
if I know it, you know, whatever the movie is, Minority Report or something, I like the story. I know it. Frankenstein is a perfect example. The Del Toro stuff. I don't need to watch a trailer. I know I'm going to watch it, you know.
And sometimes I'll do that. My wife and I will go to the movie and I just look away. I don't want to see the trailer to it. Like I'm going to see this movie, and the art of trailers has changed in the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
They just tell you the whole movie. It's, you know, just get me excited to see the movie. Don't show me everything. And this is the last one to survive in the quest to the West. It's like, dude, you're ruining the whole movie. And I learned that the longer the trailer, the more that it usually means it's a bad movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they will show everything. It'll be like, I don't know, Mission Impossible, you know, 5 or whatever. And then there'll be a graveyard scene and they'll show the name, or it's literally that. Like, they will show everything. They'll show the main bad guy.
I like this. I like this page. You got this brick over here establishing where they are. And this is one of my things is this is a lost art for coloring. And you do this is that, you know, the panels have like a different major color to differentiate them. Like we got the 3 in the middle. That's not, you know, I'm not confused, but like, you know what I mean? Like if it's set in the forest,
yeah,
and it's green everywhere, sometimes I don't know what I'm looking at. Like it's not obvious when you divide the panels. So I like this. You know, there's no real reason for the sky to be purple or red or green, but
no.
But it works because it's comic.
Yeah.
This, which is why I think comic books don't really translate well into movies. You know, they're always too different. That, you know, that comic books are unique. I'm babbling now, but comic books are a unique medium, and there's nothing like them. So like when you make a movie out of a comic book, you have it's like an alchemist. You have to fundamentally transform it, and the best that you can hope for is that they capture the essence, because it's not going to be literal. So
Yeah,
I like this. I'm trying not to look at it too hard, and I'm definitely not trying to read it because I want to see.
I thought about just removing all the word balloons, but I'm like, well, I want to show that it's lettered. But I felt like I made it small enough to not spoil too many things.
Yeah, I could see word balloons, but they look like Woodstock talking on Peanuts to me right now. And immediately I was going to ask you a question, and I'm like, no, I don't want to know. I don't want to know the answer.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. 4 issues in, I mentioned on the launch, I feel like each issue I've managed to like get solid footing on different parts of comic book creation. You know, the first is just basic storytelling, and then I kind of expanded a little bit with different worlds and scenarios. Then I'm working on the paneling or the pacing, and then with this last issue, I really feel like if somebody said, you know, is this, yeah, it's my best work. I mean, and you want your latest work to be your best, but sometimes you're rushed, or there's reasons that it's not your best work. You just couldn't figure out a way to tie things together or a way to answer things. So I'm really excited about this, because I think there's some small moments that I think are really important, not just like the action scenes, but there's a couple like dramatic moments that I really liked. So I'm really interested to see what people think of them.
Cool. Yeah, I think that, like, if your latest work isn't your best work, that's my goal. I know I'm not Alan Moore, I'm not Stan Lee or anything like that, you know, and I'm the writer. I got other people doing the heavy lifting, but I like to think, okay, my writing got better. So I definitely think my writing was okay. It sold the comic book in issue number 1. It got better in 2. Patriarch number 3 is going to be my next book. It's so much better. And then I already have like 7 or 8 stories out that people are working on. And it's funny because the latest one is the best, but I'm sure that's not going to be the first one. So, you know,
Yeah.
Well, people won't know, but I'll know. Oh, the best is yet to come, or the best already came, and I can't. The next one's not going to be as good as this. But I'm excited.
I mean, I could tell the difference between your two issues, and yeah, it's funny because you don't want to be like, my first stuff is terrible, because it's not. It's good, but you also want to like recognize that you're getting better.
Right.
So it's like,
I mean, when I was like Ralphie when I wrote my script. I was like, John Byrne's is going to come out of retirement and draw this. You know what I mean? Like, you know, got up, twirled my wife around, spin around. This is magnificent. And now I read it, and I'm like, oh, man, this is amateurish. You know what I mean?
but man, finishing that first book, it's such a big deal. Like,
yeah,
everybody always talks about, you know, I want to write a script or for a movie or a comic or this or that. They have an idea and maybe they get an outline, but that's usually where it dies. To have a finished comic strip, multiples, it feels great. It's like it's a substantial achievement.
Now, I know you're a creative guy. I know you sculpt. I know you paint. You said you wanted to do bookbinding. You play instruments too, right? I bet.
Yeah, play guitar.
You know, and I know you write short stories, and I don't know if you've ever tried a novel, but like with the comic book, you know, you got to compensate for. Not compensate, but you got to think of the page turn, panels for page. Did you study to do that, or is this just like I read enough comics? I think I know what I'm doing.
So for my first issue, it was hard enough to draw color ink letter and just come up with a cohesive story that I felt had a beginning, middle, and end. That the page turning, I didn't do that till the second half of the issue 1. I'm like, okay, I know where the page turns are, but it's that is one of those things that you have to get good at.
Yeah.
I mean, I understood the concept of it, but like managing your story in such a way to make the page turns is difficult in the beginning.
Like somebody asked me how many panels do you put per page, and my answer was it's a feel.
Yeah,
it's just like I feel like it's time to go to the next page. You know, like I can't say that. It's 6. Absolutely 6. You know, like well, I know Alan Moore and the Watchmen, they did 9-panel grid, and that was the style for the whole comic.
Yeah,
and that was an artistic choice. But like, I don't know. I'll do splash pages. I'll do double page spreads. I'll do, you know, I have one page I think with 16 panels on it, but wow. I think it works because it's all little cameos of their faces, you know, in the Mary Sue story. But like, I don't plan on that, you know.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I feel like I've read so many comics in my life at different times of my life that you just kind of infer it. Like it becomes a part of the way you read. It's like you just learned a different language, and that language is comics. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's always a good idea to read Scott McCloud stuff, or yes. You know, those books that are out there.
Right. When I said I'm going to get serious, I'm going to write a comic and I'm going to make a comic book. I got my Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. Mm-hmm. How arrogant is this of me that I met John Romita Jr. and he gave me a bunch of, you know, trade paperbacks and stuff like that. So I went back like a week later. I'm like, I got to get something from him. So I gave him a copy of Understanding. Like he's the one person in the world who doesn't need that book. But we talked about it a little bit while we were there. So I like, as I'm driving away, I'm like, I think I just did it like a faux pas. Like, here you go. You should understand comics better.
You know, I mean, I'm sure he understood. Like Scott McCloud basically just looked at all the greats and said, what are they doing? Let me compile it.
But I read
he does have a sort of like another level of extraction that he does. So, you know,
the thing that book really drove home for me, because I knew it, but I didn't know I knew it until somebody pointed it out, is like he had a panel, like he draws himself telling how to make comic books, and there's just him from the chest up, and he goes, let's talk about my legs. He goes, I'm moving my legs, you know, and it's just 2 or 3 panels of like him moving his, he goes, but I don't have legs. they don't exist because they haven't been drawn. He goes, but you accept that they're there. Like things like that. Like we have to infer what's not in the panel also. Like, I know it's kind of silly, but like there's a few times, and I just wrote a script where the patriarch is doing something and somebody's sneaking up from behind him. So I have the word like the bad guys all the way to the right, the patriarch's to the left, but I had his word balloon extend into the patriarch's panel, to show you that he's coming. You know what I mean? So I like things like I don't know. It sounds goofy, but I thought it was like a little creative decision. Yeah. Like he was looking, and then you turn the page, and then from the other page, I flipped it over so that the bad guy's looking back. You know what I mean? The reveal was on the other page. It's fun.
Honestly, that's the fun stuff to do. Like when you think of it and get to implement that kind of, it's like another level. You've reached sort of not just the basics. I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think as far as like the McLeod and Alan Moore has his writing book, I feel like I've read most of the major books, like the Eisner stuff. I read all the DC stuff.
Art, how to draw comics the Marvel way. I didn't read the Alan Moore stuff. I think that you guys will you'll see when I read the Alan Moore how to write comic book scripts. My next script will be pretentious and
it's actually I like the Alan Moore. It's real short. It's like maybe 15, 20 pages. It was pretty good. I feel at a certain point you're like, as much help as I can get, and then it's like, okay, I've been doing it. I also need to be reminded of things, like that's why I go back and look at anatomy again, just because you get used to these like things you do. I'm like, oh, that's right. I really need to make sure I'm moving the plot A and the plot B and blah, blah, blah.
Well, I said this, I think I even said this to you on your launch stream. It was like, I got to pay. I got to pay an artist. I got to pay a colorist. I got to pay a letterer, So like, do I really need this page?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm thinking like, I don't like, I wish I was as talented as you. Like you could afford to be extravagant. You know what I mean? It costs you time. I mean, I'm sure it costs you money somewhere down the line, but like, you know what I mean? You're not paying somebody to draw it for you and color it for you and ink it for. Oh man, I wanted to be an artist so bad. I just can't.
I mean, writing is. I love writing though. So it's like I don't even look at art versus writing or any of that kind of stuff. I love both. So if you can't write, if you can't draw, then write. If you can't write, then draw. I think it's all storytelling.
This is going to sound mean, and I do not mean it to be mean. But like a couple of artists, like, oh, I want to work with you, and I want to do this, and all I could think of is write your own story. Like, I'm glad, I'm flattered, and I'm happy, and I'm working with a lot of people, but I'm like, writing is just fun. Just sit down and write a script first, and then draw it. And then a few people I said that to, they're like, no, I can't write. And I like, to me, I feel like when it comes to a comic book, like the bottom of the barrel is the writing. You know what I mean? And then as far as talent wise, because everybody could write, because everybody could tell a story, everybody could tell a joke. You know what I mean? And that's so like when you could draw, like when I see your art or like Matt Barr's art or Brian Bau's art. I mean, Brian Bau could write really well, but the point is, it's like, to me, it's like, it seems like they should already know how to write and tell a story to get to that level of visually animating so like, I'm really amazed when I see these like great comic book artists. I'm like, what do you mean you can't write?
Yeah, I mean, I think about that sometimes. I'm reading a comic or a book, and it just feels flat, like really flat. And I don't even mean like rough around the edges. I mean, I imagine the person that wrote these characters as being the dullest human being on the planet. And to me, that's more important than anything. Like, if you're really dull, I think you're just going to write these really dull, flat characters that are just tropes and just cliches. I don't know if everybody has that. I think you can hone it like anything else, but you have to be really aware of like your shortcomings. I hate to say this, as a person, like, are you even remotely interesting as a person? Then you can probably write some character that you can sort of like throw things into.
You could only write like Italian white Americans because
no, but I mean,
I assume when he finally takes his helmet off.
But
well, it's 1920s Italian, so he probably has a big mustache and.
But no, what I mean is, like, I don't mean self inserts because that's not what you want.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm just.
But you put a little bit of yourself in all of your characters, you know.
Speaking of Zaid Comics, I just opened these up minutes before I started the stream.
Oh, awesome!
I can't wait to read them. This is indie comics right here. Zaid Comics. This freaking guy. He was walking down the street and he found a printing press, and he just started tinkering with it. Now he's making his own comics with his own printing press. You know,
no kidding.
We got big wigs that aren't doing half the work that Zaid Comics is doing. I'm just really impressed by that.
That's cool.
You know, he got his own printing press. He hired a guy to fix it. Now he's tinkering with it, and now he's making his own comic. Zaid, you could be the distributor for the indie comic scene. We need one. Yeah, we need one. Yeah, I was joking about the representation and stuff.
I know.
Yeah. That just infuriates me.
But do you think a serial killer? Do you think Ted Bundy could write an engaging, funny, interesting character? I don't know.
That's funny. Yeah. I bet you a guy like him probably could, because either like that he's like such a sociopath. He probably like studies everything, you know.
Maybe.
I don't know. To get away with like 50 murders, you know what I mean?
Maybe he's a bad example, but or like, do you think?
But I know what you mean. Like I got friends who cannot tell a joke. Oh, it's excruciating when they tell a joke. You're just like, just get on with it, just please. And then you just laugh because you relieve that it's over. And then somebody else could tell the same exact joke and get a round of applause. Like, this is gonna toot my own horn, but in college, my friend Sean had a girlfriend, and she just wasn't funny. And I would tell jokes, make people laugh. So she started telling my jokes. You know, she was nervous and trying to make friends, so she started. And I wasn't there, so she started telling a joke, and everybody was like uncomfortable. And Sean was just like, hey, knock it off, Joe. And she's like, yeah, they would have laughed if John told that joke. And he goes, yeah, well, John would have made it funny. But yeah, I know what you mean. Some people, I don't want to sound like your boy Zach, but like Mags Visagios, you know, they're just a violent killer. Like, even the good guys are just, oh, I'm slightly inconvenienced. I'm going to bash you in the face with the baseball bat. You're just like, oh, you know, like, yes, like Mark Miller could write a really scary, I guess he is, Nemesis is a serial killer. Yeah. But at the same time, like if you read his story, Starlight, it was like inherently a wholesome comic about a guy who just wanted to get home to his family. And it was very sweet. Like Nemesis, I still have like 6 or 7 issues that I can't read because they really, really bothered me. Like they're so disturbing. But then he has other stuff that's so wholesome. It's because that's a good writer, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like Alan Moore, the guy's an absolute freak, but he wrote some, like the Tom Strong family was a wholesome, good family, and then, you know, Promethea was a weird, you know, esoteric exploration through magic and tarot cards and everything, you know. Yeah.
I mean, to this day, I know it's 2025, and as far as I'm concerned, Frank Miller and Alan Moore still are the best, and I think they will always be the best. Outside of the Stan and Jack, I feel like that's a different thing, you know.
As much as I admire Stan and Jack, I think they were like the Beatles. Like they work best together. This is gonna be, I can't believe I'm actually saying it, but I read Commandy for the first time. I've always been hearing about it, and I read other people write. I can't wait to be done reading this here. You know, and all I could think of, if Stan was there to polish it and give it a clean dialogue, you know, and then look at all like Stan Lee stuff without. Well, Steve Ditko is another genius, but like, you know, the Stan Lee stuff on his own later on. I'm talking about like what was that name? Alley Cat, and there was another one, Ravage 2000. You know,
Yeah, I mean the Jack stuff, the Demon I loved. I really did. I thought that was solid. It felt like a 70s like horror film. But like the Fourth World stuff and even OMAC and like
oh,
a lot of that.
I loved OMAC. OMAC was, to me, Jack Kirby at his most prophetic.
Oh, man, I love the Demon. But that just goes like to my like that's the kind of stuff I like.
Oh, I was going to ask you this. Now, you write your own scripts and then draw from. So do you write a script, or do you just start with like an idea?
So I start with an outline with like major sort of story beats. Then from the outline, I'll do thumbnails. Occasionally I'll do a first draft from that with just basic dialogue, but I almost never use that first draft dialogue. It's just to get across what has to happen. You know, at this point, Horace has to be telling character X why. That's really all that's for, because by the time I'm done drawing and all into the lettering, I'm a different writer. 6 months later, I'm a different writer. So I just want to like freshly go through the whole thing. Yeah. And at that point I have the art. So, you know, you might draw a character that is a little sad looking, or like, and you can lean into that later on where you might not have thought of that.
Right. Yeah. Because I write, and then Renzo will take my script, and then sometimes he'll add a panel or he'll change panels around because, you know, with different, you know, I'm word person, he's visual person. So I got to rewrite the script once I get every like the example. I wrote a joke in the Mary Sue story, but I had to take the joke out because it was based on visual. And I don't know if it was a language problem or if he just thought it was stupid and do something else, you know, but it doesn't matter. And so like the example, I'm now the coffee's kicking in, but I drew 2 panels of Horace H. Hoover, or I wrote 2 word balloons for Horace H. Hoover in Heroic Tales 2. And he's loquacious. So I had to really condense it because it would have just been like this gigantic word balloon with like him looking over the, you know, so nothing's set in stone until I get the finished colored art. That's what I do. Write it. Renzo draws it. He inks it. Oscar colors it. And then I rewrite it for Bill to redo it.
I love the phrase "writing is editing," and I totally agree with that. Like that's the writing part, is the editing, your first like vomit of words.
Yeah. I remember, you know, when I got the art and it was time to do Hero Tales #1, and I was like, oh my God, I have to rewrite my like like. What's that script writer's name? The guy that wrote like that famous, you know, Waiting for Godot. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I have to change my words. You know, you know, and I'm like, it's just a stupid fight dialogue. I could change the word. You know what I mean? But like, I had to rewrite it. Now it's. I think it's fun to rewrite it as the art comes in. You know?
But man, I'll tell you what. One of the most fun things to do is to just like write dialogue for different characters. Like for a brief scene, you know, in issue 4, there's a nun. I get to like be a nun. I mean, I'm like, what would a nun? So you really try to figure out like, how do they speak? What would they say in this particular scenario? And what would the person? To me, it's just so much fun.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because one of the criticisms I got for Heroic Tales #1, they're like, you play it up that he's a family man, but you hardly deal with his family at all. And I'm like, yeah, because I couldn't write like a little kid. I had scenes with him interacting with his kids, and I'm like, I'm not going to use slang. So I decided they live on a farm away from everybody. They don't use slang. So now I got an idea, like I'm going to have them come to the city, and they're not going to fit in either. You know, that I could write, but like they don't know what Riz means. You know what I mean? So I just deleted all the stuff with the little kids, because it sounded like a 60-year-old man trying to write like little kids. Yeah. Yeah, Marcus is killing himself with each panel. I've never seen a guy struggle so hard for a page. It's okay, Marcus. It's doing great. I like playing. It's like playing pretend when you were young. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to ask you about fight scenes. You know, it's an adventure comic. He's an occult detective. He gets into fisticuffs. I know that some people will be like, they'll send the artist fight scene, make it 2 pages long, and other people will be like, choreograph each punch. I mean, I try to do. If Marcus will tell you, I sent him a script, and the public eye is beating up a couple of muggers, and then I lost track of one of the muggers. So in the script it says 4 muggers, and then Marcus is like, "Well, where's the 4th one?" And then oh yeah, he got away. So okay, change it to 3 muggers. Like you got to keep track of all these people. You got to give them something to do, and I just feel like a fight could just be spinning your wheels. This guy punches B, B punches A punches B back, C smashes him over and then I decided it's enough, good guy wins. So like, do you have like a goal for each? Like I want to do, like, whenever there's a fight scene, I kind of want it to be clever.
Yeah. So for issue 4, and again, this is the end of an arc, a 4-issue arc. So when you read these together, which is how they were intended to be read together. So when you get to this scene, this is really like the big climax of the story. And I was in the same scenario. I'm like, okay, this isn't just going to be punching, and then somebody wins. It has to be, because to me, Horace, he comes off as maybe so like focused on something. He doesn't notice the forest through the trees kind of thing, but I still want to like show that he is smart. Like he does figure things out. Maybe it's in a circuitous kind of way. Maybe it's not the way we expect it, but he does figure things out. And in this scene, I'm like, okay, that has to be the end goal. And I approached it like I approached a story. So the fight scene in and of itself is a 3-act structure.
Okay.
And that really helped me with, okay, we have the opening, we have the rising action, we have the climax. That way, the fight scene in and of itself told a little story. And once I approached it like that, now admittedly, this was like a 6-page scene. So I needed room to do all of that. But I also have 4 characters. I have 3, Max, Slap, Slurp, and Max, and the bad guy. So yeah, I think it worked out really well. I can't wait to hear what people say about it, because there's a twist. And I also think there should be some sort of twist. Like you said, there has to be a clever twist. There has to be a reason for this fight to end.
Right.
So
like I wrote, which will be the 3rd story for the Raven, and he's like my Batman street level guy. So he doesn't have laser beams or telekinesis or anything to back him up. And he was fighting a guy that is just physically stronger than him. Now, I know it's comic books and it's guys in costumes, stuff like that, but I'm trying to be a little bit more grounded. So the guy that he's fighting with wrestled him to the ground. Now, the way I think of like the Raven is like, he'll kick your knees, he'll punch you in the eyes and stuff like that. But when you're wrestled to the ground by a guy that's a foot taller than you, and so I kind of panicked, because to me, logically, that's what this bad guy would do. He's a big hulking brute. He's not gonna, he's not quick enough. The Raven would clobber him. So he was smart enough to, and that's kind of like he took over the writing. The bad guy. I don't want to give his name or anything like that.
Yeah.
So then I was like, he's got to get clever. But how do I end this fight? And then I was really proud of how I worked out the end of the fight, to the point where I think it's going to be clever, shocking, fun, and logical. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I've been doing Sunday comics every Sunday, and I'm going through like these X-Men comics, which are just phenomenal. And I'm looking at them analytically rather than just like a little, because I've literally read these Chris Claremont, John Byrne X-Men's like when they came off the shelf and stuff. And I'm starting to notice there's a pile of X-Men, and in these fight scenes, guys just stand around and do nothing and then get defeated. You know what I mean? Like you really got to choreograph the fight, you know, and then Jean Grey just comes out and just overwhelms Magneto, and then Magneto just wins because he needed to win.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm deadly afraid of that kind of stuff. Like, are people going to read it and be like, well, the patriarch won because it's his comic book? Like, that would be a defeat. I did a bad thing. Like, if, you know, Godzilla comes out and Horace H. Hoover just punches him and Godzilla collapses, I'd be like, come on, you know, you know, you got to see why that happened.
I mean, ultimately, this is how I look at it. We're rooting for the good guys, but in a action scene or a fight scene or something like that, if the good guys aren't in peril, then I don't think we won't have a reason to root. We'll just assume it. So as soon as you really put them in peril, it's like, okay, now I'm on their side. So I think there's like actually some leeway where like finally they made it, where you don't want to like dwell on it too long because, hey, they made it. I wanted them to make it. It's like somebody calls you up. Hey, I was in a car accident. Oh my God, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. He was just a fender. Oh, thank God you're okay. Like,
yeah, you know, he's fine. He's on the phone talking to you, but still, but still, well, that's one of the reasons why I like the superheroes a little on the weaker side. You know, Marcus in the chat always, you know, teases me because he's like, who would win, the Patriarch or Spider-Man? I'm like, Spider-Man. Like, my characters don't deserve to beat Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, and how arrogant is to say that your character could beat, you know, my character could beat your character. Why? Because he's my character, you know?
Yeah.
That is another question then. Do you know exactly what all your characters are capable of?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
You know, like I make their character sheets, you know, on the back of the cards. So if you get my comic book, you're going to get the Patriarch's character sheets. You can see how fast he could fly, how much. So, you know, I like that.
I love that. And those are the Villains of Vigilantes
rule. Yeah, this, you know, I had to streamline it. You know, it's a piece of loose leaf with all of these things. So this is the back of it. So I had to parse it down a bit. But, you know, anybody who plays the game will be able to see what I left out and fill out the details, you know.
Yeah, that's so fun. I mean, the one thing, and I don't know if this is going to be a problem down the road, but like I said, for Horace H. Hoover, I don't give everything away at the beginning. So when he does do something, hopefully it's not too out of left field where people like think it's odd. So I feel like I'm slowly showing little things that kind of logically make sense. But yeah, I don't know. Would it lose some mystique if I just told Horace's origins? I don't know.
No, well, I did the same thing you did.
Yeah.
Nobody knows the Patriarch's origin yet.
That's true.
You know? Yeah. So I was thinking about that. Like, nobody cares about the origin of a character they don't have any connection to yet. There's a reason why, like, a lot of movies will start out like in the middle of the story and then cut, you know, like Pulp Fiction. By the time you know, it starts out with anybody makes a move, I'll execute one of you. You know what I mean? And then by the time that scene caught up to the movie, we can't. And then we're like, Jules is in that. Michael, you know, John Travolta and Jules are in that. This is going to be bad. You know what I mean? If they just showed us that scene straight through at the beginning, who are these two guys talking?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
so, like, you're doing the right thing. I want to know his origin. I'm dying to ask you, but I don't want to ask you.
Yeah. But yeah, again, I hopefully I'm not pulling like a J.J. Abrams Lost, where I'm doling out just enough where it's like, oh, that's something new I can add to like my concept of Horace and what he can do. Oh, that's something a little new, a little different. Like we meet his wife briefly in issue 3. He calls her in an odd kind of way.
Yeah. If in issue 4 all of a sudden Horace H. Hoover just flies away, you know what I mean, to Jupiter, they would like, you know, I don't think you do. Yeah, not everyone needs an origin story.
Yeah, because like I think of it this way, it's not as interesting on how you got your powers; it's what you do with them. Like that tells us your character is what you do with the powers. just because you got bit by a radioactive bug, I mean, that had nothing to do with you. But once you get the powers, what you do with them. So like these extended origins, I've never liked them. And I don't know if it's because as comic book fans, we've seen and read those origins so many times that we're just so sick of them.
Well, hasn't Wolverine become less interesting now that we know everything about him?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to the point, like, we know what color underwear he wore the day he got, enough's enough. Like, he was better as a man of mystery. And it was so much fun when they would drop in a little hint every once in a while. Oh, his name's Logan. Like, he was around for like 7 years before we even knew his name was Logan. And then in a Captain America issue, we see him in World War II. Like, oh my God, he's that old.
Yep.
And now I know everything about him. And it's like Lovecraft, like it was better when I got to fill in the gaps.
Yeah. And then for that extended period of like, oh, that was a false memory in this. Yeah. I'm like, ugh, that's just.
Yeah, false memory. That's a good way to say that writer stunk. I don't know. Like, I'm flat out not telling some origins in my comic because I think once you know Patriarch's origin and a few other origins, you're going to be able to figure out how everybody got their powers. So it doesn't matter after a while. You know what I mean? It in my world, it's not like radioactive spiders and people from Krypton and stuff like that. There's really one way to get powers. So I'm not going to retell that story over and over and over and over. Yeah. Like you said, King Fu is a Elvis Presley impersonating martial artist. He has powers. You know how he got his powers, or you'll be able to fill in the gaps. We don't need to see the day he got bitten by a radioactive Colonel Tom or something like that.
Yeah, I'd like that trend for sure. But what it also does is okay, maybe 10 issues in, if you wanted to go back and do a whole issue into like a backstory, then that would be so much fun. People would love that. Right. If you want to, if you come up with something worthwhile.
Like Zach Ted says, sometimes the way someone got their powers impacts their character. Absolutely. Like Spider-Man's origin is one of the greatest origins of all time, to the point, to me, that's like literature. That's not even, that is so good. It's Shakespeare to me. Like, and it comes around full circle. He starts out greedy. He was on an arc to become Dr. Octopus. He was a greedy misfit who didn't fit in with people. He was angry at the world, and then his uncle died, and it taught him a lesson. Brilliant. I mean, that is awesome. The Hulk's origin, the bomb, that's pretty cool. Tony Stark's origin is, it's the weakest, but it works. But then look at look at the original telling of Batman's origin. It's like 4 panels. My parents were killed. Bat scared me. I'll become a bat, and then he's off to the races. And that worked for a long time. It wasn't for a couple of years later before they started retelling and the original Superman, strange visitor from another planet. Planet died. His parents sent a rocket ship over here, raised by the Kents. Boom! Now I'm telling the stories I wanted to tell. And Superman's the most popular hero of all time.
Yeah, I think you're right about Spider-Man. It's tragic, and there's
forget it. I'm telling his origin now. He ate a radioactive peanut butter and banana sandwich. Thank you, Dr. Mask.
That's brilliant.
I got to go call Renzo, tell him to stop drawing right
now. Yeah, Spider-Man is such a tragic origin, and it's rare to get like a tragic origin. And I think that's the difference.
Least, there was no other origin like it. Like, really think about all the, before that was all the DC characters that were like, well, I mean, Superman's whole planet died and Batman's parents were killed. But like, I don't know. I think Spider-Man's origin is one of the greatest origins. And then Stan Lee's just like, I'm tired of coming up with these stories. The X-Men were born that way. And then like 10 years later, they're like, oh, it's civil rights. It is? Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, like Batman's origin never did anything for me. Like it just,
I mean, the Punisher's origin is integral to the character.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I know I catch hell when I always say this, but if I was to write the Punisher, I would have always made him a cold and distant father, not a bad father. Like this is a man of duty. Like you don't just it's not no how many people lose their family and they don't go out on vent. Like he was disturbed beforehand. Like he I really like what Garth Ennis said, that he was born for war, to the point like I picked like Robert Duvall. Someday this war is gonna end. You know, and the unfinished part of that sentence is like, and I'm gonna miss it or something like that. Like when Frank Castle went back into regular life, got married, he was doing his duty. And he wasn't, like, secretly, in my mind, the happiest day of his life was the day his family got killed. Because then he had an excuse to go out and do what he's always wanted to do. You know, and if I tell that, I think people would get mad. You know, Dixon, he doesn't like that idea.
I think that that's a true, that's a true thing for soldiers, like especially like SEALs and, you know, Green Berets and Delta Force guys. Those guys love what they do. They really do. I'm not saying some don't like going home, but they say that's the best time of their life. I hear it all the time from those guys.
Yeah, I work with the guy who, he doesn't tell me what he's doing, but beating around the bush, this guy's like a mercenary. You know, like he comes to work and then like he's like, oh, got my orders. And he's like in a fight, like he does like XCOM stuff. He jumps out of planes and goes into Afghanistan. He goes, yeah, go on assassination mission, stuff like that. But I'm like, the military doesn't let guys that highly trained just go work on construction sites for 6-7 months. Like I go, you're a mercenary, and he just like shakes his head, you know. Like, don't tell anyone.
Wow.
But like he says that, like his wife is a high ranking military person too, and like they love it. Like he's miserable when he's not working.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, I'll never forget, because there was one guy, big guy, who was just like, hey, yeah, I'm not gonna even mention his name, but he was just like, you think you're tough? You think you're tough? I could take you. And then we was this thing called an Alamac. It's the outside temporary elevator that goes up and down the buildings. So we're going up like 40 stories. So it's like a 6-minute ride. And the pest is behind him going, I could take you. You're not so tough. You're not so tough. You know? And I'll never forget, he just pivoted on the one foot and was behind him, arm underneath, choked him. The annoying guy choked out, fell on the ground, and then pooped his pants because he lost control of his bowels and everything. And then the guy pivoted back. Like it was like flawless. If I didn't see this, and then and everybody just backed up. We got off the Alamac. That guy just got up and he stunk, and he stayed on the Alamac and he went home. It's a rule in construction, and I'm not even joking. It's a 40-year. If you shit your pants at work, you go home. You get to go home. You know. So this guy went up, and the next day everybody's like, "You still think you're tough?" And he's just like, "I learned my lesson." And we say, there's one thing being the toughest guy in your local bar. There's another thing being one of 500 elite fighting forces who gets like, you know, he wears those Jack Kirby sky wings into the Middle East, you know. So
for the record, I think that should be a rule for every job ever. I think just in general, I think we should make that a national federal rule.
Write it into the Constitution. I think that's what the founders wanted. My friend Jimmy, he's a cameraman. He's actually one of the cameramen on the Avatar movies, you know. And
wow,
he says that, and he goes, I'm not feeling good. I think I'm going to go to work today, shit my pants, and go home. Like even the cameramen know that that's the rule. Like, there's not a construction worker that doesn't carry extra underwear and T-shirts in their backpack, because you never know. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm always afraid I'm going to rip my pants. Just how embarrassing that you have to work with ripped or your shirt's ripped off, you know.
Man.
So we always carry a change of clothes in that bag.
I mean, I shouldn't complain about my.
Like I said, we always go off on these strange tangents whenever we talk. So did you ever shit your pants?
No comment. I do work with a lot of programmers, so.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I see you got stickers. You got a bumper sticker over here.
Yeah, whole kit and caboodle. Original art, sketch cards. So a full color 2.5 by 3.5 by sketch card.
Oh yeah, the sketch card in the corner. Yep.
A resin model. So it's a 5-inch hand painted resin model, colored, and also an unassembled, unpainted kit. Wow, so that's a sculpture that I did a while back. I had it manufactured by Evan Morgan. He's a dude in the UK. Does a great job.
I love
Yes.
how you put a die 20 to scale. Like normal people know how big that is.
That seemed normal to me, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. Where there was something I was looking for. Did I skip over it?
The magnets.
Oh yeah. Where's the magnet?
That's a reward, a stretch goal.
Oh. So okay, guys, we got to get to this. The free sticker. Okay, that's the 5,000 free sticker. 7,000. This is my favorite panel in your series so far.
Yeah, so everybody will get a shot of that. 11 by 17, so that'll be a nice size.
I absolutely love this. Without giving too much away, Horace borrows a key and goes into a hidden room, and there's this crazy library. And I remember that was like, I think the first time I talked to you, I was just like, if you had an artist, how would you describe that artist to draw that? That's,
yeah.
There's no way anybody else would have been able to draw that.
Yeah, it's because a lot of it is like as you're drawing it, you're changing things. This works a little better. That works a little better. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite shots.
Yeah.
Took me a long time by hand. It's not digital. It was pretty tough. So the stickers or the magnets are 10K, which probably won't happen. But I will say this: I like the idea so much, I'll probably just do it anyway. To be completely honest. So after the campaign is done, I'll probably, sell them on my store or something.
Yeah, you got to tell me how to do that. If Patriarch does well, I would love to do magnets, same scale as yours. So like, with it. So this is a magnet set. You put the characters and then magnetic word balloons.
Yeah.
Just put different. Like, one of the word balloons I'm putting is I shit my pants. I'm going home.
Yeah, I think that'd be so much fun. And then, every so often a new issue comes out, new characters, new word balloons. It could just be a lot of fun.
That is such a great idea. I'm surprised nobody. That's one of those ideas when somebody does, I'm like, why didn't anybody else do that?
Honestly, I was just sitting there and I'm like, all I do is stickers. I'm like, I've got to think of something else. And I didn't know you could do custom magnets. They're not cheap, but they're not that expensive. They're doable, basically.
Yeah. I think it would be like an add-on. So then, like, if I was to do it, I'll probably do it as an add-on, so I would know how many to order. Things like that. So I'm not, because right now I'm sitting on a box of hoodies. I sold one so far, but then again, King Fu hasn't been in the comic yet, so I'm hoping.
And you have to do a convention.
Yeah. Oh, and then we got a lock stretch goal.
Yeah. That is just photos of me in
Polaroids.
Yeah.
just Polaroids of Fabrizio, like walking his dog.
Now everybody is like, whatever we do, we cannot unlock that stretch goal.
Yep. I'm just seeing if there's any comments. Choose your career carefully. Yep. For some jobs, you can't last long if you don't like it on someone. Absolutely. I switched my career when I was in my 30s. I was a school teacher, and I was literally driving to work, and it was snowing out, and I said, "Oh wow, I could I have an excuse that if I could jerk the wheel, crash, and with a little bit of luck, I'll spend the rest of the year in traction." And I wasn't even thinking I wasn't even joking when I thought of that. And then I drove to work, and I'm like, I was seriously thinking of crashing my car rather than it's time to change career. I can't last another 40 years doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, this was teaching?
Yeah, when I was a school teacher.
Like when I went to school for fine art, but that was always sort of the alternative. A lot of my friends went into art education, and a lot of these people, they didn't want to go into teaching. And I was waffling back and forth. I ended up getting arrested, which made it moot anyway. But besides that, for a brief moment,
you can't just say I ended up getting. What did you do?
It was a long time ago. But anyway,
Mexico doesn't count.
so I didn't really have that option. But I remember like my friends, I'm like, man, you guys really shouldn't be teachers. Like I knew them. And I had this one class, the middle of winter. I'm in Edinburgh, tons of snow there. And this one teacher, she's an older woman, maybe 40s at the time. And I remember it was like 3 minutes before class started. And I'm walking and I see a car right in the parking lot and she's in there. Heat is on and she's just like sitting, white knuckling, counting down the seconds before she has to go like walk into the classroom. And I'm like, you shouldn't be a teacher. If that is what, I always think about that.
Yeah. I mean, my job is physically hard. I don't dislike it. It's I have a lot of fun and I get to do interesting things, but it's just so physically tiring. Like like just today, I'm like, oh wow, both my shoulders hurt. Like today is the day my shoulders, because every construction worker, their shoulders hurt, and today is the day my shoulders started hurting.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was like, uh-oh. They all get rotator cuff or surgery sooner or later. Is all my days numbered now? I don't know.
I will say, not drug related. A fight. It was a fight. That's all. I'll just leave it at that.
It was a fight.
But anyway, it's funny. Like either you do a very physical job, like construction, and certain things break down, or you have a sedentary job like me, and other things break down, like your back. So it's kind of you're picking your poison. But
right, I always, when I was a kid, I was always like, I wanted to write comic books. I always wanted to write comic books. That was my dream job. And I was always like a practical kid, even as a kid. Like I was like, pursue two goals. Pursue your realistic goal, pursue your unrealistic goal. So I was like, I want to write comic books, but in case that doesn't work out, I'm going to be a teacher. I never wanted to be a construction worker. And then to me, I was like, I was a weirdo. I'm like, I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to have kids. So my backup, like when everything fails, I'm going to be a truck driver. I just had this romantic idea of like, I'm going to drive across the country, through the desert, up to Alaska, I'll sleep in the truck. I could read my comic books. I could write scripts, and this was before the internet. Now it's even easier. And it's funny because now I got a couple of friends that are truck drivers and they all have bad backs. They're like walking with canes. You know what I mean? I'm like, how does your back hurt? And they just like sitting for 10 hours a day on the road. I'm like, even with like modern chairs, like, well, they didn't have modern chairs 30 years ago.
Yeah.
They all, and a couple of, they're like 400 pounds because all they do is stop at every truck stop and eat, garbage.
Yeah. Like the office I work, a lot of the people, and they're not listening to this, but they're programmers. They don't stand up. I don't know. They don't even go to the bathroom. Like they just sit there for like 8 hours straight. Meanwhile, every like 30 minutes I'm up, I'm grabbing coffee, I'm talking, like I'm doing something. Yeah. Like, and I'm just like, man, when, 5 or 10 years from now, your back is going to be gone. It's going to be gone.
What do they call it? Like secretary butt, right?
Yeah.
You got to move. Who would have thought that I would have a better back than my truck driving friends who sit. Well, Marcus drives all day. Well, he's not a truck driver, but he's driving all around the state every day. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You gotta. They say that being sedentary is more dangerous than like, there's more heart attacks from people who don't move and don't. I don't know.
I've always had a desk job. Yeah, I've always had a desk job, so I've seen it firsthand, and you can counteract it with exercise. I'm kind of going off on here, but yeah, it's just
like get those treadmills on your desk. I remember there was one girl in college. She was like a real interesting person. She was just like, I forget her major was some sort of like necromancy studies, or like, it's not that, but she was like a medical student that studied like causes of death or something like that. And she was oddly pretty and like very intimidating. When you talk to her, you almost like, I got to prove myself. But I remember when we finally went to her, she had a house off campus. Like she just bought a house, a 1-bedroom house. She's like, I'm going to live here. I don't know where she got the money from, but she bought a house while the rest of us were living in a dorm. And where she did her homework, she had like a desk that like an ergonomic desk. It was the first time I even heard that word. She's like, I spend so much time at my desk, between my studies and all this. Like I joked around. I was like, is this like a kinky sex thing? But like, she's like, nah, my back doesn't hurt. And I was like, she's like, get it. Getting in this, like, it had like a thing on your chest. You lean forward and you had your arms resting over here and it would lower. And I got to say, it was like so comfortable. And she's like, yeah, you could spend like 8 hours in this desk and it doesn't mess up your back. But I thought she was like crazy. Now I'm like, she's the same age as me. She's got to be 60 years old. I bet you she's the only one in her office that's not like in pain.
Yeah, I have a standing desk at home. It goes up and down, and yeah. So I don't know. Like, I always think about what's going to get me to continue drawing in 20 years. Like, whatever that is whatever I have to do now. So if that means eating healthy and exercising so I can draw in 20 years, then like that, because that, I've had to spend the first 50 not doing comics. I want to make sure that, the latter half of my life is getting to do that stuff, oil painting, writing, all that stuff.
When I met John Romita Sr., I was looking at his hand, every one of his fingers was bent. I think it's bent the other way from holding a pencil and holding it down and pushing on the paper.
Yeah.
He said it hurt to draw. And he said people would send him stuff. Like, so one guy sent him, it was like a long scroll, and it was a Charlie Brown drawn by Charles Schultz, like a Beetle Bailey drawn by, I don't know the guy's name, and it was all these, and he asked for a John Romita a Spider-Man drawn by John Romita. He goes, John, that's been sitting on my desk for 3 years. I just can't draw it. And all I could think of is like, this guy must be like pulling his hair out, So like, he said, like, I was like, what about digital? Could you draw it? He's like, I can't draw digital. He goes, my son draws digital. I can't draw digital.
That's brutal. I mean, some of them, like Gene Colan, he was drawn like when he was 80 and his stuff was great. Buscema, Will Eisner, those guys lasted pretty long. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that, I'll be able to draw until I'm old.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like exercises that you could do, or, like, is it just like back then, just cigarette smoke, and whiskey, you know what I mean? And that's why, maybe now you like to think that we're going to find out like 20 years from now. It's like, you guys took like vitamins. What are you, nuts? That stuff will kill you.
Yeah. We're going to have to take like bacon grease pills in order to recreate.
Yeah. Tobacco,
those guys are doing
for you. Yeah. So we'll bring up your campaign again. I could talk all night, and I'd always forget that you got a campaign. I'm going to play your trailer. All right.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So I'll make it big. And cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. I like to, yeah. not dangerous spelling books.
Oh man,
I like how books are a big part of the story, and I have a book based villain coming up, or who might be a hero, depends on your point of view. But
do I know this guy?
No, not yet, not yet. I literally just thought of him like 2 weeks ago, and like he already jumped the line of where he's gonna be. You know, I have like 10 issues planned, and I think instead of being issue 11, he'll probably be like issue 4. I like him so much. I have like I'll have a whole story based on the secret meaning of the Wizard of Oz. It's written in code. You know, Frank Baum was an alchemist, and he's writing to other alchemists on how to achieve immortality. I just told everybody. Oh God,
that's cool. I mean, it's almost like, isn't everybody obsessed with books? And then I realized, well, they're not as obsessed as some of us, though. You know,
Valerie Durazio, you know, she was on my channel. She was a Marvel editor, and she posted on Twitter yesterday that she took the subway and she sat in between two people reading physical books, and she said it just made her happy. And there's a guy, Rob, if you're watching, I know you're not, but he at lunchtime sits and reads physical books, and he's like, I like to read, and I can't read digital ebooks or anything like that, because I was bringing that Doc Savage book to work, and people like, what's with this fag reading over here?
Yeah, I can't read digitally, and the book binding stuff that I'm going to be doing, I think it's just a natural extension of all the stuff that I've been doing since I was a kid. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, there's no way around it. I will find a way to work books into my stories.
That's cool. That's cool. Oh, you want to hear a strange criticism? A couple of guys, you know, a lot of guys at work, and I'm always going to new jobs, and within like 14 minutes of meeting me, I'm talking about that I make comic books, and a bunch of guys are like, oh wow, they want to support me, so they'll just buy comics. So like the next day, I always tease them because I know they're not reading the comics; they're just being nice or whatever. So I was like, "Did you read?" He goes, "Yeah, I tried to, but it was so many words." Really, my comic book words,
man.
And then the other guy got mad. He goes, "There's no nudity in this." Like, what kind of comics do you think I'm making?
My Lord. Yeah. I mean, I could extol the virtues of reading and sound very, very old and dumb, but I just think it's still so important. And the people I work with, I don't think they could read even if they like were forced to. Every year we have like this white elephant at Christmas. So usually people give like alcohol or I don't know, board games or something like that. And people hate me for this, but I give a stack of books. It's like Aristotle, it's Milton Friedman, it's all these authors that I've read. And I harangue and I harangue them all year.
Ancient Greek classical reading.
I'm like, you guys.
Can I just throw this right in the garbage now, or do you actually want to touch it first?
Like, I don't care. I refuse to participate in this gift giving without trying at least to give you something.
You know, what's funny is I just bought my third copy of Plato's Republic because I keep forgetting that I have it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to read that book, so I'll buy it again. And you know, my wife was just like, you have that? I'm like, if I had it, I wouldn't have bought it. And she comes out with 2 copies.
I have done that. I have done that as well.
Yeah, I every once in a while, I go through like I'm reading too many comic books. I'm not reading enough like literature. So I've been compromising for the past year or so. I'm trying to read like all the pulps that inspired all the comics, like The Shadow and Doc Savage and you know, things like that. I'm looking over here. I know I got some books too. Like I've never read Conan. Oh yeah, I got just were we just talking about the Scarlet Pimpernel on Saturday? Was that you?
No. Somebody
was talking. I said, I think I bought that. It's getting bad. I got to start cataloging my books.
Yeah, I've never read that. I definitely feel the same way. And it's funny because I'm kind of always reading Frankenstein. And what I'll do is before, I don't know, like it's a palate cleanser for me.
Frankenstein is great. That is a page turner. It really is a good book. And every time I reread it, I pick up something new, something I didn't think of before. You know, the first time I read it, I was 18. I wasn't thinking the same way. Then I had to read it for college, so then I was reading it in a different way, trying to add. And then I reread it again. I think I was like 33, 34, maybe. But I know, Brian, if you're watching, forgive me, but I like it better than Dracula.
I mean, Dracula's fun, but I love Frankenstein. It's just like, it's so tragic. It's right up my alley. But yeah, I'm kind of always reading Frankenstein, and it's a great palate cleanser whenever like I need to really read some great language, like some really like rhythmic, melodic, beautiful language. Nothing against comics or whatever else I'm reading, but
do you ever read like the Beat Poets, Kerouac, and all those guys?
yeah, I was a big Burroughs fan. Kerouac is good too, but I definitely liked Burroughs a bit better.
Oh, because I read On the Road, and like it was like a stereotype. I think I was like 22. I read On the Road, and I was like, that's it. I packed up my bags. I moved to Albuquerque. I'm done. Never coming home. And then I read all of those Neil Cassady. I got in such a beat poet. You guys should see me with my long hair and my poncho back then.
Yeah, I mean, I loved that stuff. I used to just jump from thing to thing. It's like, okay, the Beat Poets, and then this period, and then that period. Over the years, though, the only stuff I go back to though is like sort of like Victorian literature, or like it's. I don't think I've gone back and reread On the Road or anything.
No, I have no. It was good to read. There's On the Road by Jack Kerouac, and then it was perfect bookends because I was crashing on my friend's floor in San Diego, and I was working at a pizzeria, and his wife said, "Do you know that there's a book called Off the Road, and it's written by Neil Cassady's wife, and it's her version of On the Road, because On the Road, Jack and Neil Cassady take off, and they even mentioned that Neil Cassady was married and had kids. So this is what she was doing, going on welfare, begging, getting evicted. You know what I mean? So I read, and that was the end of it. Was perfect bookends. It was just like, oh, I love Jack Kerouac, Neil Cassady, man. And then you read Off the Road, you're like, what pieces of shit deadbeat dads these guys are.
Wow.
And then Neil, when Jack was old and an alcoholic, he lived in her attic in Long Island, not too far from me right now. And like a couple of his children showed up, and he was just like, I don't have kids, like he was a piece of crap. Wow. And I'm like, oh, great. I got all into it. I traveled across I got it all out of my system. And then you read like the consequences of your actions. And like, oh, okay. There's a reason we don't just drop everything, do drugs, and live like bums.
Well, like the two books for Burroughs that really stuck out are Junkie and Queer. I don't know if you know those, but those
I read all of those. Yeah.
I mean, they were very insightful into those sort of like spheres of like that whole culture, which it was totally outside anything I knew personally, but they were really well done. And the funny thing is, at that time, I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. But now I'm like, wow, what like just like dregs of humanity.
Oh, you know who I got into? And then all of a sudden, like just like a light switch, I'm like, I can't stand this guy. But Bukowski. I read like everything by Charles Bukowski. And then I'm just like, wait a minute, this guy's a piece of crap. Like, and it's funny because like 2 years later, my cousin, she was talking about Charles Bukowski, and I'm like, that guy came from like a wealthy family and chose to be like a bum and like scamming on people. And all of these beautiful women that he was talking about, they were really like 60-year-old, like bar, you know what if you ever watched Archie Bunker, there was the old floozy that was always in that's what they look like. They should be waiting tables at Mel's Diner. How is this for old references, everybody? 1976. But you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't glorious. He was like a disgusting Bowery bum.
I mean, the stuff that he wrote about, I have a couple of books of short stories of his. I mean, some really graphically stark stuff. It always made me wonder about him personally, but
like there's a few stories I really do like. And the guy, he is a good writer.
Yeah.
And he's worth reading. But don't emulate this guy. He was a piece of junk. Like he's talking about getting jobs, and the guy felt sorry for him. He gives him a job, so he just like goes to work and does nothing. And he's like, how long? I could get 2 or 3 paychecks out of this before they get rid of me. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? But not everybody has rich parents. Ultimately, he could go back home to his rich parents.
Yeah.
That's what got me, you know?
It's funny because I always think about, and writing and music are similar in this way. Like, I don't know. I'll just pick a couple of big bands. Let's say Kiss, right? Or whatever, like popular band, popular rock band or something. Soundgarden or Alice in Chains. And at the time when you're listening to them, like, man, I wish, I could be that famous and I could be, doing these shows in front of tens of thousands of people. But they always end up terribly, like always. And I always think about that. What if I had gotten like my wish to be, Chris Cornell or something? They always end up poorly, no matter what. So it's like the writers, almost all writers end up that way too. It's a rarity to have like a successful, wealthy, well-adjusted writer who wrote really good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. the musician that I respect is Chris Novoselic from Nirvana. I read an article with him, when Kurt Cobain was still alive, and he said, he goes, I bought a modest house in Seattle near where I grew up because nobody comes to Nirvana to see me. I'm the bass player. He goes, when Kurt goes solo, he goes, I gotta have a nest egg, and supposedly he still lives there. He probably has more money than we could ever imagine, but he didn't go nuts. He didn't blow it all. He got married. He has a life. So, but I don't know. At one point, if I bought that Bitcoin in 2008 before I met my wife and became a billionaire, I would have been dead in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Like I work with guys who literally say, like, we do that like Fridays. We all chip in for a lottery ticket. They go, no. I'm like, I'll put in the $2 for you. I would feel so bad. Like, no, if I wouldn't, the only thing keeping me alive is I can't afford enough drugs to die.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh my God. I got guys right now that are just like they're asking me, do you know how to like bilk the union or the 401ks for this money? I made a bad bet, and I'm like, stop bet. And then like 3 days later, the same guy that's like trying to figure out like how to submit false dental claims to get like $4,000 so he could pay off his bookie. It's the same guy, totally straight faced, just yesterday says, I got a system. Sounds like his system's real good because this guy teases me because I'm a goody. I'm married. I'm married. I make comic books. He's like, oh, don't curse. John's in the room. Like he busts my. I'm like, didn't you just ask me how to fake forms to get money from your
committing fraud?
Yeah.
It's funny because I've always naturally sort of been like averse to all that stuff, but I had like a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months in my life where I partook in some things, but honestly, the most of my life, like getting into hardcore with the straight edge guys, and they're very proud of their straight edge status, right? And I'm like, oh, I just do this because like I don't feel like getting drunk and vomiting on myself. Like they're doing it for like a cause and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is just me, like naturally. I don't really want to do drugs because I think it's dumb.
They used to get mad at me. I'm like, I just like the music. I didn't join a cult.
Yeah.
It's just fun. It's just fun music. I why can't I think of the name of the band? But like Agnostic Front and the Croats, they all turned into like Hare Krishnas, like literally.
Yeah.
I'm like, you see, I'm not gonna go hang out at the airport and begging for money.
Yeah, I bought some peaches the other day, and I really wanted peaches, so I bought a can of peaches. Didn't really look at it. I ate these peaches, and I started to feel like sick. And I looked at the ingredients, and apparently it was like fake sugar. And I turned to my wife, and I'm like, I'm sick for like 2 days eating fake sugar. I can't do drugs. I can't drink. Like I can't drink fake sugar and get away with it.
Oh yeah, I know. My wife teases me because I'm a lightweight now. Like I literally drink 1 day a year at 4th of July because my neighborhood, they do they just like it's like going to a professional show. Everybody's shooting fireworks out here, and so I get like a little chair. My wife and I sit on the lawn, and I get the cooler. It's like typical, rednecks suburbs, and I have like 2 beers. And my wife was teasing me because 3 years ago, I must have drank like 5 beers over the course of an evening. That's not an insubstantial amount of beer, but it's not a lot. And I didn't make it to the bedroom. I passed out on the couch, and snored all that. Thank God it was like a weekend, So this 4th of July, I had to go to work the next day. So she's like, only have 3.
Yeah,
she's a Canadian. She can still drink.
Yeah, so no worries if for me going down the Bukowski Road or the.
Yeah, the guys at work, like, things are booming now, and I'm already starting to notice guys is doing this. I'm like, oh God, that guy's a jet gambler. Like one of the guys, I was like, I'm at the airport, so you could go into the terminal, and there's a bunch of restaurants. So I ate everything at coffee break. I was ravenous. I was like, I want to go get some. So I go in, and one of the guys is sitting at a table by himself. So I get my food and I sit down, like a cafeteria at school. And I'm like, hey, I almost said his name. I'm like, hey, what's up? And he's just like, man, I don't want to be here today. I'm like, yeah, who does? And he goes, no, because we start in the afternoon. He goes, I went to the rub and tug this morning, and I'm so relaxed. I'm like, that's how you start a conversation with a stranger? Like, I'm going to talk to you about my comic book, I'm just like, oh my God, people are just, that guy's a gambler. This, I'm like, oh man. Like, what did you do this weekend? I played board games with my friends, and I probably wrote a script for my comic book. It's like, oh, really? I was gambling. I'm at the rub and tug. I'm over here. This one, he hasn't figured out how far he could travel to pick up girls on Tinder and still get to work on Monday. Like he'll drive to Virginia for like a hookup.
Holy hell!
Because there's nobody left in New York for this guy.
It's on the list.
Oh God, I thought I was a weirdo. I'm starting to think I'm the most normal guy in construction.
Yeah, I like to sleep normal hours.
Yeah.
I like to not get drunk. I like to not do drugs.
Henchmen. They're not going to be supervillains, but all the henchmen are going to be these. Like, I want to do a comic where, like, Batman is sneaking up. Like, it's one of my pet peeves is like, Harry Potter does this egregiously. Harry Potter puts on the cloak of invisibility once out of 15 years, goes to the bar, and they just happen to be talking about exactly what he needs to know. That's my pet peeve, is when you spy on the bad guy and the bad guy just happens to be spilling the beans. So I was thinking of that. I'll do a scene where, like, the Raven is staking out and Mr. Bad Guy is over here, and the henchmen are just sitting around, and the guy's like, yeah, I went to the rub and tug this morning. I don't want to be here. Like, and this guy's, yeah, I owe money. Like, they just have mundane henchmen talk. I think that would be funny. And I'm going to steal it all from the guys I work with.
Yeah. When I go to Panera Bread, which is where I go for lunch, overhearing conversations are just medications that are people on, the side effects of the medication. I mean, there's nothing of interest ever being said.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because I said, because today I was like, hey, why don't you come sit with us? I was like, no, I'm going to go sit over here. And why? Because it's cold. Like, it's cold now. So I found a room. You could shut the door, and there's computers in this room. So it's like, oh, that's a good idea. So I got it out. I don't want to be, but I sit at the table, and it's just like, they're talking about, like, I'm not a sports guy. So it's a 45-minute conversation. Marcus would love it, about baseball. This guy got traded. That guy got traded. But I literally been having that conversation for 22 years. Yeah. But I'm sure if everybody was at the comic books, I'd still be talking about Ant-Man. You know what I mean? And then the one sports guy would be like, these guys have been talking about freaking the origin of Spider-Man for 22 years. All right, Steve Ditko's a genius. Can we move? So, you know what I mean? I'm just not interested.
Yeah, we all have like those things. I've always said that I'm not a huge fan of people that like just one thing too much. I don't know if I suffer from that, but I feel like I have different. I have a variety of interests, but they're all pretty narrowly creative.
Like the guy I'm working with now, he's an old punker. I love talking to him. You know, we talk about punk. The guy with the book, when we work together, we talk about books. You know, and he says, I like that because I never get to talk about books. And then the other two guys, they literally talk about baseball and their betting schemes. And neither one of these guys they don't have any nickels to rub together. You know what I mean? Like, you want in, John? $4. $4 gets you $72,000. It's like, I'm out. Just $4.
And I'll let you go here in a second, but I really think one of the pitfalls of current comics, amongst many things, is that all of the influence is mainly from other comics, and I do think it should be pulling from pulps and movies and literature. Just go back a little further, and it's just something new to pull from. I just feel like there's just like this endless loop, and it's getting us smaller.
You said that because I think we even passed that. I think like the new writers don't even read comics. You know, I think the comics are so bad because they don't know. That's why we have people sitting around at Starbucks talking about their feelings. Yeah. You know, again, I said this a million times. You can talk about your feelings while you're swinging through Manhattan, beating up muggers. You know what I mean? What is the nature of our relationship? As you know, as you're punching the guy in that's fine. That's what Frank Miller did. That's, you know, everybody. But I think like 10 years ago, it was like incestuous comic books. Like they just read comics, or like Roy Thomas was bad like that every once in a while. Like I as much as I love Roy Thomas, at the same time he frustrated me. Like his comic Young All Stars. It was a response to the Crisis on Infinite Earths. So like you had Iron Monroe, who was supposed to be the Golden Age Superman, and the Fury, who was supposed to be the Golden Age Wonder Woman, and Flying Fox, who was supposed to be the Golden Age Batman, and Neptune Perkins, who was the Aquaman. So like it wasn't a comic book to tell stories, it was a comic book to fix continuity, because and it failed. You know, it was beautifully drawn, but it was just like, because you read nothing but comic books. Well, he also read these pulps, but like I think you could get too much. Like, I'm into comic books. I would just, and nowadays you got like, I don't know, people who they never read a comic book. But to get to your point, I think rap music is you know, like Run DMC and Cool Mo D and Schoolie D and Ice-T. I can't believe I'm mentioning these guys. These guys were inventing something new. You know what I mean? They didn't like they were sampling heavy metal, Led Zeppelin, and you know, and Motown. And now you got guys like Drake that never listened to a rock and roll album in their life, never listened to a country music in their life, don't know jazz, don't know classic music, and his music is 4 notes. And the only thing worse than that is people that listen to it. I mean, I said to one of the guys yesterday, he was just playing this Rat City. I don't even know if you know that. It's the worst crap I've ever. And I was like, you have the sum total of all human musical ability in your hand, and this is what you choose to listen to. He got a little annoyed. He goes, nobody likes comic books. That was his actual response.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, even like pop, sort of like hip hop on MTV would sample Herbie Hancock,
right?
You know, so even like lower like level stuff is sampling some great jazz musicians, and yeah, we just keep dumbing down, and it's terrifying. Like, it's not the chicken and the egg. Like, if you're surrounded by dumb music with dumb lyrics and dumb movies, you become dumb.
Yeah, absolutely. I worked with a guy years ago, and he's a jazz musician. That's what he wanted to be, but he's an electrician, and he could play any instrument. He worked the shift that I'm on now, 3 to 11, and then he would go to these jazz clubs and play with jazz bands, and you know, whatever instrument they didn't have, he would go get into his car and get it. You know, okay, we need a clarinet, you need saxophone, you know, guitar. This guy could play, and he would play until like 4 o'clock in the morning, go home, sleep, and then go to work. And he used to argue all the time. He's like, he goes, it's all rock and roll is a psyop. He goes, we used to have like Herbie Hancock and now all the names are blanking, but like Thelonious Monk,
Yeah.
and why can't I think of his name?
Miles Davis and
Al Davis. There's a specific Miles Davis.
Miles Davis. Yep.
Yeah,
Chet Baker.
he goes, and then they brought the Beatles, and now we're singing yeah, 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 and dumbest like, and I was like, don't mess with the Beatles, man. But I see his point, you know.
I know I've heard that before, and I absolutely see the point, and it's hard for me to accept it though, because I love metal and I love rock and I love this other stuff so much. This is how I justify it. At least I do feel like some metal, rock, whatever genre you want to use, some of the lyrics convey something else above and beyond the simplicity of the music. It might be like a philosophical context. It might be more of like a imagery kind of thing, but I don't know. What would we have without rock though? Or metal? Oh my God, punk.
It's funny. People used to tease me. Oh man, like I'd be listening to Fear, and they're like, "This is 3-chord punk." I'm like, "Yeah," and then I'm listening to that Rat City and Drake. I'm just like, "This isn't even 1 chord. This is just like ding 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 ding." I'm like, music. Have you heard that song "Money" by Cardi B?
No.
Good. Your life is better than mine because I heard it. Why would anybody want to listen to that, much less pay money? It like all I could think of is somewhere people are laughing at us. It is awful.
Yeah.
I always said that you are officially an old man when you can't stand the music the kids listen to. But I don't know. Are kids listening to this?
I don't think so. It's all corporate. Like it's a corporate product pushed, but I don't think it. You know, the Gorilla Biscuits are coming to Pittsburgh next year.
Oh wow, it's a blast from the past.
Yeah, with the Circle Jerks.
Yeah.
And it's like music should be sort of like angsty, and it should be anti-corporate. I don't care who you are. And if you're a young person that just loves corporate music, I just don't trust you.
Yeah, I'm gonna like I always hated Rage Against the Machine. Like brought to you by Colgate toothpaste. You know? Oh yeah, this comment. Older writers reference classic literature. Marvel and DC now reference the internet memes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The movies stink. You know, I don't know. It just the conspiracy theorist in me is just like they're doing this on purpose. Like it's too much of a coincidence that every great intellectual property has been destroyed. You know,
I totally agree. Well, I think it's more than that. I always talk about this. Everything is ugly, right? Architecture is ugly. Everything is ugly. Music is ugly. People are ugly. It's really disheartening. Other people have talked about this in the past. But I follow architecture really closely, and there's these old, beautiful buildings, and they're just demolished, and up goes an apartment building with whatever boxy units, they're throwing up there. Eventually we're gonna feel like we're living in like a communist gulag,
right.
That's it. That's all. That's what it's gonna feel like.
I in my business, when a job finishes, you go work for another company. You know what I mean? Like, so like, I'm an electrician, but like I've worked for this shop, whatever. Like sometimes 4 or 5 shops in a year because that job finished. You go over here now. I was fortunate that I was with one shop for 7 years, but then I went to one shop for like 4 or 5 months, and we were in all of these government housings in the Bronx, and all I could think of is like, this is like Dante's Inferno, like it like I don't want to say like systemic racism, like because there's white people, there's like it's like the most diverse place in the world. The commonality is it's depressing. Yeah. And there's nothing that, like, say what you want about the suburbs. I remember like the Descendants used to tell me that the suburbs stunk. And now I'm like, F you, Descendants. First off, Descendants, I can't listen to you anymore because all your songs are whining that you can't get a girl. But you know why you can't get a girl? Because you're whining. Stop whining. Maybe you could get a girl. And second, the suburbs rule. Go live in the suburbs. You got parks, you got space between your houses, you got your own backyard, but your neighbors are close enough that you can have a barbecue, and you know what I mean? It's like, it's the best of both. Now I want to live in the country, but like, I don't know. Like, I agree with you. Like, if I had to move to I for 15 years, I basically lived in Queens, in like pretty much like a block away from where that Kitty Genovese was killed,
Yeah.
It was like, that was right over there, and it was just like soulless, depressing. I got to say, though, at least the people around me, like, they would fix up the gardens and they would decorate so it looked nice. But across the street was public housing. This was private housing, but it was built at the same time by the same people. So but these people, it was public housing, and there's garbage on the ground. Literally people laying on the ground, passed out on drugs. But over here, it was working people who were like, I'm going to be here for 2-3 years, save up for a house and get out. And I used to say, like, hey, poor people, it costs nothing to take those garbage out of your bushes. Like, I remember, like, I would come home from school and my father would be like, hey, John, go out on the road. There's beer cans and cigarette packs in the street. I'm like, I didn't drink. Did I say you drank? I said, I'm in the street. My father's an asshole. Taking. Now, every day I pull to my driveway, if I see garbage, I go and I pull it out of my bushes. You know what I mean? It's like I've turned into my father. But it's the, we take care. Like, I can't change the world, but I can at least get the cigarette packs out of my bushes. And my wife don't smoke either. It's my neighbor.
Yeah. Me and my wife talk about that. It's like older generations. I mean, they didn't really have a lot of hobbies. Their hobby was taking care of the house. It was upkeep. It was all of that kind of stuff. And you don't realize how important it is until you drive back into your neighborhood 20 years later, and it's just destitute.
Yeah, I remember we went back to Long Island City where my father grew up, and he's like, yeah, there's that. Roll up the windows. We're getting out of here. But, the stereotype was the old Italian guy hosing the cement. You know what I mean? Like, like, what's that guy doing? But his sidewalk was pristine. His driveway was, perfect. His lawn was manicured. It's nice. I got into like a fight. I got guys that mow my lawn, and I got into a fight with them. They just doubled the price on me. I'm like, you can't just double the price. I'm like, what do you think? You guys are the only. So it took me like 3 weeks to find it. So I went 5 weeks without mowing my lawn, and I'm like, are we the bad neighbors now?
Yeah.
And turns out we're not, because new people just moved in next door to me and they park on their lawn. And they turn the house into like a rental house. So there's like 6 cars on the lawn right next to me. I feel like the Bumpuses from Christmas Story live next door to me now. The hillbillies. Oh my God.
It is a weird cultural shift that I haven't quite managed to figure out. Yeah. But you can't do anything about it. Either everybody in the neighborhood kind of is on the same page, or they're not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I got like 3 or 4 years because I'll sell. I want to go to like West Virginia, where it's like super poor.
Oh, wow.
So I can live like a king. I'll dress in overalls. I won't flaunt it or anything, but as long as nobody's breaking into my house, it don't leak, and I can get the internet, I'll live there.
I looked at land in West Virginia because it's close enough to Pittsburgh where I could get there on the weekends. It was a little too dicey as far as like, where it is, but I just wanted a chunk of land, and then later on I could build something on it. I could shoot, I could do whatever the heck I want on it. I still would like to do that, but I don't know when.
Yeah. And then I've been seeing that there's houses in Japan for $3,000 American dollars, because the population has gotten so bad that there's like rural houses that are just abandoned. And like, I keep like, if I was single, it would have been, I would own one already. I'm like, honey, we just take our tax returns, we buy a house in Japan, and then if worst comes to worst, we sell it, we get rid of it, like, and then we retire in Japan. Like, I got furlough. I'll take 6 weeks. I'll go up there and I'll fix it myself. I said, I'll be a model citizen. The only thing like to stop, well, she doesn't want to do it, but I'm like, they have good hospitals because we'll be old. There's no crime, and we get the internet. You can still watch your Hallmark movies. I could still do my John's Long Box, just from Japan,
That would be
awesome.
that would be amazing.
We have no bills. A $3,000 house, I can buy that right now.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah. Go down to the market. They'll look at me, they'll treat me bad, but you know what? I don't care.
Yeah, I
get stabbed on the subway or lit on fire or something like that,
Yeah. Yeah, there's just like an overall unease everywhere else, but anyway.
Yeah, I know. I'm keeping you talking for so
long. No, you're fine. You're fine. We could chat all night.
Yeah,
I have nothing to do.
Yeah, this is well, I was in such a bad mood, so thank you for cheering me up. 3.5 hour freaking commute today. Where was the comment I wanted to show you? It popped up while you were talking, and I didn't want to interrupt you. Where is it? Yeah, New York City has fallen. Yeah, it's just gonna get worse.
World without metal is no place to be. It's no place for me. That's a kiss. That's a kiss line. Good one, Dr. Mask. Dr. Mask has.
Yeah, Eric. I just backed the ketchup tier. There you go. Let me know how you think it. Oh, this is a kiss. World without metal is no place for me. It's
a good one.
My friend Adam was dating this girl Marissa at the time, and she looked like Paul Stanley. She was like a good-looking girl version of Paul Stanley. She always wore her leather jacket. She loved Kiss, and she was walking down the street in Manhattan, and Paul Stanley bumped into her, and it was a freak accident. Paul Stanley bumps into her, and he turned around to say, "I'm sorry," and she recognized him right away, and she just goes, "Let me go, rock and roll." And he thought that was the funniest thing,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I always used to think that later makeup Paul Stanley was like the white version of early Prince. If you look at them, it's very similar.
I know Dave Bukele, who does Tinseltown, is the other big Kiss fan.
Yeah, David Lucarelli. I haven't seen him around. Maybe he's not on my feed for some reason. I follow him. I don't know what he's been up to, but
he hasn't been posted. He posted like 2 days ago something about his son doing a sporting event. But other than that, I haven't heard from him in a while. But when Ace Frehley died, I sent him a message, and he was like, "Thank you," and he wrote what Kiss means to me, on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, me and him and Dr. Mask, we're on the same page. Like, Kiss was so huge to me, like cover album art, all that stuff. I mentioned like Kiss and comics when I was like 8 years old was pretty informative, and Gothic art in my church.
I remember like Kiss was like really big when I was in second grade, and of course I knew like the big hits. I didn't know the secondary stuff. And then I was kind of like embarrassed by them, like, screw Kiss. And then in high school, I rediscovered Kiss, and I remember I got the first Kiss. I have to get I have to get albums in chronological order too. So I got the first Kiss, and I remember playing it, and I'm like, this is like nothing. Like I thought it was gonna be the wild. My memories of it from second grade, like they're crazy and they're devil, and then you put it on. It's like Kissing Time, and then I'm like, this is just like classic rock, this is like bar rock,
Yeah, it's funny. I totally forgot what I was gonna say. Oh well.
Me and my friends, we rented a house out in the Hamptons for a summer, and we all got jobs in restaurants and gas stations and stuff like that, and it was like our first time away from home, so we were like, I don't know, like 19 years old. We were too young to go to bars because it was 21 at the time, so we worked at restaurants and then got beer and everything and just partied in the house. We would get kegs, and so we turned the house into a bar, and it was just like by accident it was Kiss only, so Kiss, like if it wasn't Kiss, it was Cheap Trick and AC/DC, you know what I mean? So it was Kiss, AC/DC, Cheap Trick weekend, and girls would come over and were like, it's kissing time, and they didn't get the joke. They're like, well, I'm not gonna kiss you. I was like, no, it's kissing time. they were all artists, so they painted Ace Frehley faces, like, and it was in the middle of the neighborhood. This house, it wasn't just like the party block. It was so like regular people are coming home from work, and we just got like a big Kiss banner in front of the house.
So cool.
One guy came over to yell at us to turn down the music. Ended up drinking with us all night.
Yeah, it's like your first band. I can never like not like them. It's like your first comic. It's your first anything. So I've never, even when my metal, hardcore, punk days, it doesn't make a difference. Like I just add things to my collection but I never like expel things.
It's funny because I have, like I said, the Descendants, like I'll play Pandora at work, and I'll make like a station. Like I got a Fear station. I still love the band Fear. And then like the Descendants will come on and I'm like, nope, I don't, I just can't take guys whining about, I can't get a girlfriend. It's like, shut up. And then like the Henry Rollins, he comes on. I just like, shut up, Henry. But like Sex Pistols come on, it's like, turn that up. Never mind the Bollocks is still one of the best recorded albums of all time. I can never get tired. Like Iggy Pop, Cold Metal comes on. Oh my God, that's blasting as loud as I can play it. But like a couple of bands I can't take anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few that I don't listen to, but not. Yeah, I mean, occasionally it's like every Sick of It All album. Do I really need to no? But like certain songs come on, and I'm just gonna listen to it.
You recommended a band to me, and I forgot. What was the band?
Refused? It's one of the Refused. The Shape of Punk to Come. One of the greatest hardcore albums of all time, as far as I'm concerned. And if there's anybody in the chat who knows that album, it's brilliant. It's diverse. There's like jazz breakdowns, some of the best hardcore, a little bit of punk. It's incredible stuff.
You know what I'm going through right now is a Bad Brains phase. I like the Bad Brains.
Yeah, I love the Bad Brains. I saw HR. I don't know if I'm sure I mentioned this because after he just did a reggae band and he came to Pittsburgh.
Human Rights was his reggae band.
And it was like maybe 4 years ago. I'm bad with years, but the band that before them played for like an hour and a half, and reggae's okay, but I mean, like I get sick of it. It's one song.
When it comes to reggae, it's like I like that song.
Yeah, so like
I like that song. There's only they all sound the same.
Yeah, by the time they got on, it's like 12:30. I'm like, I watched a little bit and then I bailed. I'm like, I'm sorry, HR. If you were playing Bad Brains, it's one thing, but I can't do 3 hours of reggae. Yeah,
I love that the Bad Brains that they didn't sound like any other band, and then they would throw a reggae song in, but it wasn't just like typical reggae. It was like, I don't know, it just sounded like more authentic. But yeah, that first album with the lightning bolt on the Capitol building, and it's so funny that I see people wearing that T-shirt, and I'm just like, oh, you're a punk now, and like you probably told me to put a mask on during COVID, and
that was the irony.
Yeah. Oh, I still like the Dead Kennedys, but anytime I see Jello Biafra's face, I just want to slap him.
It's funny because you can be in one band, one guy will come out and be like, "Oh, okay, you're still cool," and then another guy will come out and just be the most like Karen like you've ever seen. And it like inside a band too. That's what's crazy to me. I'm trying to think who. The Cro-Mags, the dude from the Cro-Mags, the John Joseph.
Oh, okay.
He just posted something about COVID, and he's the only one that I know of that really kind of came out against the lockdowns and the mask mandates. Out of all those hardcore dudes, man, there were not many.
Yeah, people like, oh yeah, what do you want the right to take over again? You're like, yeah, when houses were affordable and like the left was making great punk rock music, like now the left is in charge and the music totally sucks. Let's get back to some oppression over here. Bring back Reagan, and we get bands like Reagan Youth and the Bad Brains, and Circle Jerks.
Johnny Rotten was pretty good, I think. Johnny Rotten. He came out sort of against, at least in the UK.
Yep.
There was somebody else I could. Oh, the dude from the Melvins, King Buzzo. he came out. He was on Greg Gutfeld's show, and he was talking about Thomas Sowell.
Really?
Yeah, which was
I
awesome.
purposely, because right now the Melvins is my favorite band. As of right now, the Melvin, I just discovered an album. I didn't even know they came out with it. I must have missed it. So I'm all excited. I got to go pick up their new album. And guys, the Melvin, like, this is a band that reinvents himself with every freaking album. Like, all I know is that they're heavy, but that some albums are super, super fast. Some albums are excruciatingly slow, but every album is clever. And I freaking love them. And I've been avoiding anything that King Buzzo has said because I'm like, he's going to ruin it for me. So that is so refreshing that you said that.
Yeah, I mean, this was years ago. I'm sure I haven't seen anything since then, but when I saw he was on Greg Gutfeld, I was like, it's like, wow, this is a nice change of. Now, I haven't followed his like Twitter or anything, but if he's talking about reading Thomas Sowell, then like he knows what's up. And
that is good, because I just like, I love him too much. Never meet your heroes. You never meet you. Like, it was refreshing for Johnny Rotten to say all the stuff that he did. Like, Henry Rollins just disappointed me. The first band that I ever just like excommunicated. I loved the album Dookie by Green Day. I just thought it was a fun poppy band. I was so happy that other people were listening to it. I'm like, this might be what crosses over punk, and then they started opening their mouths, and I haven't played that album in like 20 years.
Yeah, it does suck.
Oh, but Morrissey, I love the Smiths. The Smiths is the fruitiest band that I absolutely love. Like, I like my friend, my punk rock, like, you like the Smiths? I'm like, yeah. I can't deny that I freaking love the Smiths. Panic on the Streets of London. Like, it's so fruity and I love it. But I never liked Morrissey's solo stuff. I don't know. I guess it was like that Johnny Marr's guitar and everything like that. But now he's pretty based. He comes out and I'm like, oh wow, like, I got to get some Morrissey stuff.
Yeah.
Mike Ness. Yeah, I love the first Social Distortion album, Mommy's Little Monster. I freaking love that album. And like, to me, Mike Ness was like the punk rock Johnny Cash. But like, shut your mouth, Mike. You're teetering.
Yeah. Part of me is like, I know some of them do it because they feel like if they don't, they'll never get another record deal, or they'll never fill a small theater again. So I understand that, but why not just shut up? Like you said, just don't say anything.
Yeah. I saw this great interview with Elvis when they would ask him about the Vietnam War, and he says, people come here to get entertained, to get away from all that stuff. I think if people get mad at that, I mean, they're not, I don't know, they were just looking for an excuse to get mad at you. I'm not a big punk guy. That's fine. But like, at the same time, like, I remember back when like the first 3 Red Hot Chili Peppers albums came out, man, did I love them. Oh, I saw them at the community college. It was Fishbone opened up, and then They Might Be Giants, and then the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Wow. And I'm not joking. There must have been like 25 people in the audience. Like, there was no stage. You could just like walk up and stand in front of Flea. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It was so tight, and it was great. And then Blood Sugar Sex Magic came out, and I walk into the 7-Eleven, and the big douchebag who used to like yell at me and stuff, he's got a Chili Pepper shirt. And I just said to Jimmy, I'm done. I don't like the Chili Peppers anymore. And I have not played. Like, we went on a tour, like drove like to Pittsburgh, I think, to find, because we were missing the first Chili Peppers album on vinyl. Like, so we were like during the summer, we would Jimmy had a van. We used to call it the Uplift Mofo Party Van from like drive and sleep in the van, going to record stores, trying to get vinyl copies of the first 3 Chili Peppers, because this was during CD. That's how much we liked them. And now it's like, I never liked them. Like, I'm like Peter talking with Jesus. I never liked. I was never an apostle, I never liked that band.
Yeah. I mean, you go through phases, but I actually prefer not to know anything about people, including artists. Like people will say, "Oh, who's your favorite, painter?" I'm like, John Singer Sargent." "Oh, do you know about?" I'm like, "No," and I don't care. Like, I don't need to know a painter's bio or a tragic accident that he had. Now, sometimes that stuff is interesting, but I just prefer like the art to like speak to, like, that should be everything I need to know about a person.
Yeah, that was the Steve Ditko. I remember when I was working at the comic book store, he got a DVD or VHS. That's how old it was, and it was like the I forget what it was called, but it was like at the time it was Will Eisner and all the comic greats, Neil Adams, and the last one on was Steve Ditko, and I was like, wow, I'm finally going to see what this guy looks like, and I thought it was going to be like him in his chair working, smiling, and it was him like in the voice of Mr. A. Mr. A is A is A, and I was like, this guy's a lunatic, and he said that, he goes, the art, he goes, you don't need to know me, you need to know my art, and my Larry was like laughing because he already watched it and he knew that I was going to be like,
you knew that.
So,
yeah, I mean, my views on Steve Ditko have changed a little bit, because I've always known the objectivism stuff. Even for a long time, I've known that, which is fine. I've read a lot of Ayn Rand. I also think you can get a little myopic with it and just focused on her. And I do think,
and I also think people straw man objectivism and Ayn Rand, and then attack with their misrepresentation of her arguments. But
yeah, for sure. I mean, some of her stuff is just pure Aristotelian stuff. So it's like they're attacking her, but they don't realize it's kind of Aristotle, and this and that. But anyway, I like The Creeper. I just read that like last year, like The Collected Creeper, and I loved it. I don't know, but I didn't see any sort of ham-handed, heavy-fisted moral philosophizing in The Creeper. So it's like you can have that attitude. You can be the biggest Ayn Rand fan in the world or whatever. It didn't come across in The Creeper. Obviously, Mr. A, I think, was like his like. I don't know in the timeline when Mr. A was compared to these other books, but
Mr. A, I think was the last of his like detective heroes. He was after The Question, because he left DC, but that was his own character, and he could do whatever he wanted. If you get there's 4 Mr. A comics, and if you buy them or the reprints, there's another character called Killjoy. And that is my favorite Ditko character. He's just a lunatic. He's just like pointing at you and laughing at you as like he'll hit you and fall down. And like, oh, what are you going to apply for welfare now because you can't work? Ha 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 ha. And then like all the people are just like stereotypical arguments. Save me from the consequences of my actions, Mr. Killjoy. It's so freaking funny.
I think his character design, like the Creeper character design, is actually one of my favorite characters ever. I love his character design. Anyway, not to go off on the Ditko stuff, but
oh yeah, but DC never knew what to do with the Creeper. Yeah, Ditko was the only one who did the Creeper well, if you ask me. Like, he's such an odd character that, like, is he a demon? Is he not a demon? Does he have superpowers? What's his story? Yeah,
and they kind of made him a Joker character later on, but that was just an act. He wasn't. I mean, that wasn't who he. Anyway, I highly recommend that first run of the Creeper.
I like the original Hawk and Doves too. I thought they were pretty good.
I have some. I haven't gotten around to read it. I always meant to.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus is drawing the public eye, and I told him rip off Ditko. He's killing himself. Marcus, you don't have to kill. He's like looking for panels. Copy. Did you read The Stalker yet? What is The Stalker?
Not yet. I'll tell you what, and this isn't an excuse, but as soon as I finish issue 4, I'll be able to do things again, like read. But I'm kind of at that point, especially with the holidays coming up. I'm gonna like be able to catch up on a bunch of stuff. So,
well, I got to eat dinner and then go to bed.
Yep.
And then I have 4 days off, and I hope to finish fulfilling all of these comics. I got a message yesterday. I forgot to send out the digitals files for everybody on Kickstarter. So some guy's like, I see people are getting their comics. Did you? I was like, oh, it must have went in your spam folder. There you go.
Resend.
So
that's awesome.
So if you backed on Kickstarter digital file, check your spam filter. So all digital files are out, and I'm just going down in. I can't jump around, so I'm just going down in order, fulfilling comics, because I know if I skip around, I'll miss people, and I don't want to get anybody mad. But I have 4 days with nothing to do but fulfill orders, and it's amazing what you could get done when you don't have to wake up, go to work, come home tired. So I hope to be finished. I'm just under 50% done.
Awesome.
So everything will be.
Yeah, it's exciting. It looks so good.
And Renzo is I forget how many pages into the Patriarch, and I think I'm going to complete the whole comic before we even launch a campaign, and then that will give me a couple options as far as like what to do with when it's time to launch. So
that's nice.
Yeah, that's that. And then so my schedule is Patriarch #1, and then Heroic Tales #3, which is also 2 Renzo stories, and then I'm going to have Renzo working on the Santa Claus, which is going to be like my magnum opus. And that's when I hope to have everybody else submitting their stories. So cool. Like it'll be Heroic Tales 4, 5, and 6 by other people. So that's the goal.
That's exciting. I mean, getting that many books out that quickly is really nice.
I hope so. So my goal next year is Patriarch #1, Heroic Tales #2, and I'm hoping Eddie is doomed. You know, it's I know Tonic Bowl is backlogged with his stuff, and as soon as he's finished, but Oscar is working on his portion of the comic. So that's my goal, to have 3 comics out next year.
Man, that's great.
Do you have a time frame for Horace H. Hoover 5?
It'll be out next year, is my guess. Depending on how well the crowdfunder does, will kind of dictate how much of a break I take.
Same with me. I'm assuming it's going to do well, but you know, I'd rather assume positively than assume negatively.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for having me on. This is fun. I feel like I'm a regular, you know.
Yeah, you are. You're one of the people I enjoy talking with. We got to do another Post-Tentious. Do you have a comic that?
Yes, we do. I don't have anything in mind, but yeah, let's definitely like plan on that.
Yeah, I'll look for something Post-Tentious to do. I mean, we could even talk about a music for Post-Tentious. Do you want to talk about Captain Beefheart or something?
I don't know about that. Yeah, maybe music might be fun. I mean, you know more than I do, so.
No, well, you know different stuff than me.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, we both know punk and hardcore, but like, there's a lot of bands that you know that I don't know.
I know a lot of jazz, so maybe that's where I'll fill in some gaps.
I just started getting into jazz. I bought 2 Herbie Hancock vinyl albums, and it's funny when I put them on, I'm like, Fabrizio would be proud.
I mean, do you listen to them like when you write? I think they're great for like.
No, it's vinyl. Somebody said this, and I absolutely agree. Putting on a CD or Spotify or streaming music, that's background music. But when you put on a vinyl album, that's a commitment. Like I sit and look at the turntable, you know, like like I got the turntable. It's up there, and I bought a bunch of vinyl. And now my wife, she bought a turntable upstairs. She bought this little retro. It looks like a wooden kit. It opens up. I mean, it's all modern. It's got Bluetooth attachments, but it looks, because my house is old looking. You know, you go upstairs, it's got wood paneling and everything. It's like you stepped into 19. So she bought like a turntable unit that matches the decor of the house. I love it. And same thing. She puts on a record, and she's just sitting on the couch staring at the unit, listening to the music. But
that's so great.
You know what I'm talking about. If you put on a streaming song or a Bluetooth on your phone, I'm raking leaves, or I'm painting the garage, or I'm sorting comics. But when I put on those Herbie Hancock records, I'm sitting in my chair just listening.
Yeah, I do agree. I agree. Yeah, that's great though. I love it.
Yeah, people ask, come on, it's clobbering time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'll DM you.
Yeah, this Friday we're doing just death-themed characters. You know, it's starting to get hard to come up with new topics.
I'm out of town this Friday. I'll have to be will have to be the following.
When is Postentious? Yeah, we got to come up with the topic. Yeah, I sit and read the lyrics too with vinyl. Yeah, I miss that. I miss taking out the record, and then you see that the lyrics are printed on the or there's a sheet of paper. You know, remember the cassettes? It would just have like a long fold out. Yeah.
It sucks because I don't have a record player right now. I have vinyl, but I don't have a record player. So it's like I see them and I want to pull them out, but I can't do anything with them right now.
Yeah, I told you I got all, when I moved in this house, I got all my comics, all my vinyl, and everything out of storage. And I didn't have a turntable. I didn't have, I'm like, where do you go and buy that stuff anymore? Like, it used to be JVC Music.
Yeah.
But they were out of business. I'm like, so where do you go to buy a turntable and speakers and everything? And a couple of my friends were like, I don't know, like Amazon. I don't want to buy like a stereo equipment sight unseen. I want to go check it out first. Like, I don't know where you even go. And then I turn on Facebook, and my friend Martin, that I haven't seen since junior high school, was like, look at all this stereo equipment. I'm downsizing. And it was like a turntable, big speakers. Like it was like the full on 80s, 90s rack. I was like, so I hit the Facebook button and video called him. I was like, hey, John, I'll be in Long Beach tomorrow, and I'm picking all that.
That's
all right.
Awesome.
And it was great because we went down, I filled up my car, we went to dinner and hung out and talked. He's a conspiracy theorist guy, worse than me. It was awesome. We became best friends. And, and now I got big old twin tower size speakers,
Man.
It's funny. And the funny thing is the only thing I did have was a CD player, and that broke. So now I got a turntable. I don't have a CD player, so I got to buy a CD player.
Yeah, I got to get one. I've been slacking. I'll let you go. You got to get going.
Yeah, I know. I got to eat. Okay. Yeah, I'm just seeing everybody. Oh yeah. The reason why we're having the talk is don't forget Horace H. Hoover. I'm not joking. I talk about this a lot. That I got all alternate comics, and then one day I just opened up the stack, and there's Wolf and Batsy. Never heard of this comic. I just bought it because I'm obsessive, and when I get into a company, I buy everything. So Blood Realm, I absolutely love. Still, Rob Geronimo's a great guy, but then I got Blood Realm. I got Wolf and Batsy. I got Horace H. Hoover, and I got T-Bird and Throttle, all on the same day in the same package, and it was like one of the greatest comic book days. It was just awesome comics, to the point I reached out to all of you guys, had you on my channel. I bought original artwork from all you guys, commissioned you to do work in my comics, and now like you guys are all like regulars on my channel. Like, that's how much I love this comic. So I very rarely say like this is one of my favorite comics, because out of all the comics I read, but this is one of my favorite comics.
Thank you.
It's so good. Like, again, Fabrizio did a page in both my comics. That's how much I love this. I'd like to work with Fabrizio in the future. He's a talented guy. It's a great comic. It pushes all my buttons. So there you go. Biggest recommendation you could possibly get from me. So
thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Anytime. You're always welcome on this channel. And at that, it's time for dinner. It's time for dinner in bed. I want to become rich just so I could sleep late. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. It's time to say goodbye, kids.
Goodbye, kids.